So I've come to realise, you guys who watch the channel don't really know much about my taste in video games. I've been reviewing and playing games so far that I missed out on as a kid, or, I have a weird guilty pleasure or like a nostalgia for, but nothing that I really enjoy or love. So I thought, as a better way to get to know each other, I would step into something a little more comfortable, and we can go over my top 10 video games. This is my current order. They tend to change positions every now and then, as most do, so don't take the positions very seriously. I just wanted to share with you the stuff that I really enjoy, so we can kind of like get a better understanding of like the stuff I'm going to make in the future as well. But yeah, no. Going right ahead, starting with... So I just want to start by saying, this game is both a standout in my list, and it's the most modern game here. Also the first Gran Turismo game I've ever really played. I've since bought 3, 4, 5, and 6 ready to play them, as I fell in love with 7's chill vibe when it came to the racing. A game that I'm surprised to put on this list, because I'm not really a racing sim guy, or even a racing game guy. But it just fits so well for a number 10 spot. Excellent racing game with a ridiculous amount of content. A great place to start the series as well, as I found a few of the others are a little less beginner friendly, but this one is like really beginner. This is like the great place to start the series if you're unsure what to pick up first. This number 10 spot isn't overly serious, it's going to change a lot over the years, but right now, GT7 sits comfortably at number 10. You'll get knocked down, you'll get knocked up, but I'm still enjoying it at this moment, so solid number 10 pick. Story time. I was introduced to this game by Fuzzy Key, the video game playing rat that lives in my walls.
Soon I will face the Empress. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
I have to say, I've been enthralled by the idea of it ever since. Kingdom Under Fire is an RTS / hack and slash game, a genre you very rarely see, especially since it works so well in this game. Playing through 4 separate campaigns, you discover a political story and take part in a religious war. I've always wanted to do one of those, with each campaign intersecting and building a bigger picture of the overall plot and world. You'll be playing as our box art character, Gerald, for the first and easiest campaign. Man with the most 2000s haircut you'll ever seen, and no eyeballs. But don't worry, if it's sex appeal you want, the game has it. With the almost naked and barely armored dark elves, insert women in RPG joke here. At least Ellen has some good armor. As a kid, did you ever want a giant animal? Maybe like a giant dog or a giant cat? Well, how about a giant fucking scorpion? In between missions, you can customize your main additional units by leveling up various spells and skills. You want some paladins for healing and holy damage? Just level up your melee and holy points. Be careful, they are weaker to thunder, so maybe some archers to pick some enemies off from a distance? But then again, try to avoid those horsemen. I was immediately charmed by Koth from the first time I picked it up. The graphics are that right kind of retro. That awful 2000s rock soundtrack is fantastic, up there with Prince of Persia Warrior Within, and the story is surprisingly compelling with increasing complexity as the story goes on. I would highly recommend it. And a little bonus fact, up until recently the game was stuck on the original Xbox, but it and its sequel, Kingdom Under Fire Heroes, are both available on Steam for modest prices, I think like £16, £17. I was very happy when I saw these get re-released on the PC, because they were stuck on the Xbox. They are just basic ports, but at least they're not gathering dust now. On to my number 8 pick. What drew me to this game was its box art. I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but how could you not? The deep purple and reds, oh, I fucking loved it. What I found inside was a mature and excellent JRPG. Playing as Ryudo, you were tasked with guiding Elena, the village priest girl, to this not ominous tower at all. Upon arriving, though, everything does go amok, and I'm introduced to my taste in women, forever changing my brain chemistry. What do you mean she's a bully who belittles and steps on people? I'm not into it. As previously mentioned, Grandia II is a JRPG. Developing on the first game's battle system, it gives you a surprising amount of freedom when it comes to character customization, with its spell eggs, not love eggs. It's not exactly a turn-based system as the characters freely run around the areas, but you only get to attack when their little face reaches the bar at the bottom of the right of the screen. And don't you just love these graphics? Grandia 2 originally released for the Dreamcast, you could really tell by the way it looks and sounds. The game has some bangers, top 5 for me when it comes to JRPG soundtracks. I highly recommend this game, and it's my number 8 spot. Available on everything, go play this game. So I have a little story to tell on how I obtained my number 7 game. I must have been roughly 7 years old actually, looking at the game's release date. 2 teenagers knocked our door offering us a sealed copy of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses for a mere £15. Clearly a stolen copy, I didn't know that at the time. But thankfully my mother's partner bought it for us. This copy right here, this is stolen property. I enabled crime. I have sadly since lost the cards included in the box though. I'm really sad about that. Anyway, on to the game. Take Yu-Gi-Oh! Change how all the cards work, put it on a grid-based board game, and voila! You get Duelist of the Roses. Konami were really experimenting a lot with how Yu-Gi-Oh was played during this generation of games. Exhibit A, Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monsters, for the PS2 as well. I absolutely love Duelist of the Roses. Can I explain why? Possibly not, but I'll try. 1. I used to love Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid. Was really into it. I don't like it now, it's too wordy for me. But the game is a great blend of card game and strategy game. I really do like my genre mixes. The story might be the silliest when it comes to any Yu-Gi-Oh! Game as well. You play as the Duelist, the self-insert character, summoned from modern day to help either King Richard or King Henry in a real-life War of the Roses. A real bit of history that happened. But instead of swords, we use Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. This gives you 2 campaigns to play through, either helping Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Kaiba. By beating both, you unlock the true and final ending against this weird-looking motherfucker, and gain free access to any fight in the game on this golden piss map of Britain. For real, it looks like the island is surrounded by piss. It makes sense, it is the UK, but piss ocean. The way you obtain cards is a little weird in this game, it's one of the aspects that holds it back for me. So, there's no card shop in this game, which is a huge shame. Instead, after winning a match, you get to play a roulette. 3 slots. Whatever cards you land on, you get. But here's the kicker. Only the cards sent to your opponent's graveyard will appear here. It's very odd. You're locked out of getting more cards for beating your matches quicker. And I should mention, the difficulty of this game is messed up. Most opponents have like a super card or something, like a Queen Bug or Blue Eyes Ultimate, that kind of thing. Well, if they get this card out, it's basically a loss for the player. So the longer you play a match, the more chance you have of losing. But the longer you play a match, the more cards you get at the end of each match. It's a strange little system that I'm not sure I agree with. And there won't be a problem if the AI wasn't designed to get this super card out and kill you. If it was more randomized, they didn't have like one tactic to kill the player, it won't be as much of a problem. But it is a problem. And you're punished for beating the matches efficiently. Which is it's all confusing to me, and I would have loved just a shop system with in-game currency. It would have been fantastic. It would have helped deck customizability. But regardless, I still really love it. That's why it's on my list. I'm going to make a fan game of this one day and just steal all the mechanics and make it the way I want to make it. On to my number 6 spot. Now, we're at the part of the list where it's no longer obscure, weird games. At least for this part. We're getting to the big hitters. Picking a favourite Metal Gear Solid game for me was extremely difficult. I'm always stuck between 1 and 3, like I assume most people are. An absolute pioneer in gaming, something that truly is timeless. Of course the game has its faults, but it really makes sense why it always comes up in best game ever debates. I love it, I play it every year. If you haven't played it, please go back and play it fully blind and just submit yourself to it. It can be hard getting back into it due to the funny control scheme and the retro nature, and maybe some of the obscure solutions to the puzzles, but it's well worth experiencing, and it truly is one of the best games ever made. Oh, and here's a picture of me and Daddy Snake for you all to enjoy. He whispered a secret in my ear, and I'm never going to tell anybody what he said. So I could go back and play through this game literally any time. It's one of those perfect pick up and play games for me. My love for this game goes beyond the normal man. Sonic Adventure 2 is also fantastic and better in a lot of ways, but the first adventure game sneaks in for me. I just love the world. Station Square, the ancient ruins of the egg carrier, all places I've spent hours just vibing in. With all their secret nooks and crannies too, the gameplay variety here is wonderful. Now the gameplay quality of that variety is sometimes questionable, I admit, but it doesn't make me enjoy it any less. And whereas I can admit some of the game isn't good, it doesn't make me love it any less. The shared stages, the music, the story all coming together to scratch my brain in a way that not many other games can do. I can't describe it. If you haven't noticed, music is a huge deal for me, and also vibe when it comes to video games. I have to enjoy the whole package a video game presents, especially from an art direction standpoint. It's why I think I find a lot of AAA games today really quite boring, like even the newest God of War, The Last of Us. Nothing wrong with these games at all, they just don't scratch my brain the same way that this old shit does. Anyway, I love Sonic Adventure. It's a grand, epic adventure that you should all play. It's a great transition to 3D gameplay. I don't give a fuck who says it's not. I will die on this hill. Go and play it. It's probably cheap somewhere. It's everywhere. Play Sonic Adventure. Now onto my first ever Nintendo Wii game, along with Wii Sports or Wii Play, whichever came with the console, I forget. And at first, I didn't love it. I actually found it extremely difficult. It took me a year or so to beat it originally. I particularly got stuck on the Sky Temple. That shit stumped me for hours. Oh, and the portion of the game where you have to like repair the bridge, and by repairing the bridge you have to go back to like the Goron place and get a big warm rock. Literally, I was stuck on this game for a year, and I now remember every solution to every problem. But why I love the game, let's go on with that. Whereas I found it really difficult, I also fell in love with the characters in the world. The darker and muted colour palette, Midna being an absolute banger, my favourite Zelda character out there. A pattern's forming here with my taste in women. It's my favourite 3D Zelda. Going back to it all those years later and playing it both on the Wii and the Wii U HD version, the difficulty problems vanished for me, and I've learned to appreciate it as one of the best Zelda games in my opinion, refining a lot of the elements from the previous Zelda titles and giving us a more somber experience with depth and buckets of charm. Hard to play these days unless you have one of those original copies or the HD version of the Wii U. I really hope it gets a port soon, but I'd highly recommend Twilight Princess, a fantastic game. It is my number 4 spot. So another game introduced to me by Fuzzy Keith, and another Sega game. One that has influenced my taste in music greatly would be Jet Set Radio Future. One of the most unique games on the original Xbox, sequel to the just as charming Jet Set Radio for the Dreamcast, but with updated visuals, much better controls and an open world. Jet Set Radio Future is the definition of a hidden gem in my opinion, and a solid 10 out of 10. I don't know how to describe it, but I really hope you see how fun this game is just by looking at the gameplay on screen. It has tons of content, tons of characters. I've never 100%ed this game because it takes forever and it's really difficult, but I've beat it so many times, the style and the groove just keep bringing me back. I'll probably do a big video about it one day because I want to really dive deep into it. It's a game that deserves to never be forgotten and everyone should be able to play it. But sadly, it is stuck on the original Xbox. You can't play a backwards compatibility on the Xbox 360, but it comes with some visual glitches. The game does have a spiritual successor in a game called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I said that first take, I'm so proud of myself. Which is very similar. Doesn't reach the same heights for me, but it is very similar. And it's getting a sequel as well. Sega have announced a new Jet Set Radio game, which is fantastic. I just wish people could play this game. I wish there was a modern port. But yeah, this is my number 3 pick. I love Jet Set Radio Future. It's got so much style, so much class. It really is a perfect game. Sly Cooper Honor Among Thieves, or Sly 2, is the coolest game I've ever and you will probably ever play. I just sneezed, I apologize if I sound nasally in this next section. Playing as Sly, Bentley and Murray, you make your way around the globe collecting parts of Clockwork, an evil robot bird with a hankering for raccoons. Sly Cooper 2 is a mission-based adventure game set in small, dense areas. That's how I'd describe it anyway. It's very simple stealth. It's not Hitman, you know? A surprisingly mature game considering its visuals and, you know, talking turtles. It's easily the best Sly Cooper game in the franchise, and fantastic gameplay elevates it. But the highlight really is the characters. The Cooper gang feel like a real family, and the supporting cast like Carmelita or, you know, the other bad guys that show up really bring a life to the game that you really find in the PS2 era. Quite easily one of the best games on the PS2. If you haven't played it, please do play it. Again, I'm not going to go too deep because I want to do a big review of this one day. You could stream the trilogy on the PlayStation 4 and 5, so go there, go play Sly Cooper 2. And now for some honourable mentions, games I couldn't find a spot for, or slightly missed out on a spot. Starting with Dark Souls 1, a game that spawned a mega franchise and is still my favourite to this day, of that mega franchise. Lilac Wars, or as it's better known, Star Fox 64. Who doesn't love this game? The 3D remake is superb. The original Star Wars Battlefront. I love these maps so much and spent countless hours in this game. Shame about those re-releases. Pikmin 1, a concept delivered perfectly in this first outing. I have a story to tell with this one, so expect a bigger review one day. Banjo-Kazooie, platforming royalty, that's all I have to say about that one. Onimusha, it's more than just Resident Evil with swords, and again, expect a big review one day. And finally, Fable 1. I was always a goody two-shoes. No game has stuck with me like Final Fantasy X. Since I played it for the first time back in the early 2000s, I didn't have my own copy for a long time. But when I finally did find my own copy, in Blockbusters for like £5 or something, I clocked in 30 hours in a weekend. How I did that? I have no idea. I love every aspect of this game. From its complex and emotional storyline to its turn-based battle system, and even the visual style, which I love most about it. It's so bright and alive. The leveling system, the sphere grid, it makes my monkey brain go crazy. instead of watching numbers go up, you're basically colouring in one of those adult colouring books. I fucking love it. The music, which is wild and important, I feel it's slept on in terms of Final Fantasy games. From the Blitzball theme to the Thunder Plains and the admittedly iconic Zanarkand theme, it definitely hits heights that the rest of the franchise sometimes doesn't. The cast story through a broken world fighting against a literal kaiju and a corrupt religious government is one that I'll never forget, and one I'll still come back to year after year just to spend another weekend of 30 hours binging through Final Fantasy X. At this moment in time, FF10 is my favourite game. I am planning a longer video again, so I don't want to dump too many of my opinions here, so this section's a bit shorter than I'd want it to be. But I love the game. I think it's fantastic, one of the best games ever made, easily. A fantastic place for you to start if you don't know Final Fantasy. Try 10. Turn-based might turn people off, I understand that. If not, try something like 7 Remake, I don't know. But FF10, #1 game at this moment, but it's going to stay there for a long time. And with that, thank you so much for watching this list I made it for you. My energy's dipping during this recording now. I know you're not really meant to, like, let people know behind the scenes shit, I guess, but my energy's kind of dipped, so during that last section, I'm a bit like, and then I like this game a lot. You know what I mean. Like I said, some of the games move spots every now and then. Some of them will get knocked off the list. I just hope this is a way for you to watch my content with a better idea of what I like and what I dislike. And I ask you to tell me what your top 10 or some of what your favorite games are in the comments so I can, chat about you with it and, engage, which is all fun shit. I'll be back soon with another video, another solid 1 game video. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Bye!